Okay, welcome. It's the 4th of July. Happy celebration of the birth of the United States. Independence. Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham, and I'm camping. I'm going to be camping, I hope, for another month or two. I'm going to talk today about the philosophy of pain changing our lives, okay? And I realized that almost every good thing in my life was a result of pain, okay? Very few things happen because of positive reinforcement. Really, they're coupled together with some real negative things and some real positive things. But most of the time, radical pain, whether it's emotional, mental, spiritual, physical, whatever kind of pain you have, and we have no shortage of it, it's the impetus for change, okay? And I stopped drinking 37 years ago because of the pain of the punishments, the consequences. A person that's never suffered any kind of pain doesn't really understand how to be rational. Rational people have experienced a lot of pain, and they learn how to anticipate the consequences of pain. Okay, but the philosophy of pain changing our life. Okay, so yesterday I went to the doctor for the second time for the orthopedic, and I have extreme, arthritis. There's no bone on the end of my inside of my leg on the knees, okay? So they didn't even have a question about whether or not they should replace the knees. And they're not really replacing the knees. It's not a joint they're replacing. What they do is the ending on one end is like on the tibia on the bottom is replaced with some sort of like plastic type thing that then has like a knuckle thing on the top, looks like a chicken leg, and they replace these two caps. So they cut off the top of the legs and they do it. And I'm thinking of having a bilateral, that means both knees at the same time, replacement. So I have to go on a heavy-duty diet to relieve the stress on top of my legs. So I'm going to try to cut 15 pounds at least. I need to get down to about 165, 175, and I'm right around 200, 203. Okay, so I'm got the SAD diet, standard American diet, and there's a lot of foods I haven't eaten in the last year, like a Dairy Queen, pecan cluster blizzard. I think I've eaten every possible temptation food that is my thing, like combos, cracker combos. There's a whole bunch of foods, tacos, whatever. But pain. I listen, placate, and give people sympathy for their pain. I give it all the time. I give sympathy. I'll listen. I'll nod my head and I'll agree, and as I accept. I have no choice. Okay, there is no choice but to give sympathy and whatever. You really have to enable people to have pain. I mean, I'm not saying this in a positive way. Okay, I must accept people. I want to say, hey, you're a wimp. Listen up, shut up, and grow up. Don't work. Okay, this negative comments do almost nothing, okay? Positive reinforcement can do something, but they have to suffer their pains on their own, okay? And that's the art of somebody getting healthy, is you let them torture themselves by their stupid behaviors, and then you give them the positive things. But you can politely say, with kindness, that certain things you're doing are sort of insane, right? But you're a wimp, listen up, shut up, and grow up. That's what I'd love to say. That's a 3-step program. If you guys are part of a 12-step program, the simple version is listen up, shut up, and grow up. Okay, instead, what do I do with people with pain? I enable them. I just absolutely enable them, as if people ask me what they should do when they got somebody that drinks too much. I said, I don't know, send them a case of whiskey. And they go, why? I said, they'll either kill themselves, drink themselves to death, or they'll get so miserable they'll stop. But if you kind of enabling, in a lot of ways, the more you cause a problem, the more likely somebody's to have extreme pain and get over it. But I encourage you to explain their pains, their traumas, even all of them call them PTSDs, right? If they wish. I was at a meeting the other day and they were talking about PSTD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And I said, everybody's got a stress. Everybody's got a trauma. Everybody on the planet's got something that's really traumatized that they if you want to recognize when you have a trauma, it's quite easy. Something you bring up and talk about continually. Okay, that's your trauma. Most men that I get, anytime I talk to a man or a woman that's over 35, it's all you can hear about is men do this, women do this. It's the divorce has got to be one of the number one traumas on the thing. And then their guilt about how they don't take care of their children. And, oh, man, they go on for hours talking about their children and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I would say that, about 80% of the population has lost the plot. They don't really have a very good relationship. Okay, but in sales, we call this, when you're asking these questions, pre-qualifying the customer. Pre-qualifying the customer is like asking specific kind of questions to lead is, can they afford what they're wanting to buy and whatever. And right now you see this in house sales. You got pre-qualified buyers, which means that the loan's been approved and they're ready to buy. And it's like a cash deal because they're going to get the money. Okay, and when they're selling cars, I learned this when I sold cars when I broke my femur when I was 23, which is what's causing my knee problems right now. But every person has value. To enjoy the benefits of knowing a person, we have to avoid their laundry list of fears, angers, pains. People are all one big dysfunctional mess. People actually get married by hooking together the dysfunctional behavior. One wants to be abused and the other wants to be abuser. It's very common, okay? We actually are connected by our dysfunctional behaviors. Therefore, the art of pre-qualifying a person is to get them to expose and tell and feel safe enough to tell you all their angers, fears, what they whinge about, their rants and whatever. So you can know which are the triggers and stay off those subjects. And then we can extract the good parts from that person. And everybody, absolutely everybody, has some good in them. Okay, there is good. You can learn a lot from a very evil person. Actually, you can probably learn more about the world from an evil person than you can from a saintly person. Like the big heavy-duty Christians, whatever, they never experienced any stresses, right? They lived in a bubble. Charles Murray has a book called Coming Apart, where he gives you a test. And I can put the link into it. I have the link, and I'll put this read more link in there. There's a test that is on NPR, that non-governmental, whatever, that free site. There's a test, and it's talking about how much you lived an entitled life and you never really stressed. It's like one of the questions is, have you ever stood, I have the quote here. We got to know it. Pain is real. Physically, mentally, emotionally, there is an unlimited list of ways people feel pain. Just everybody's got pain. Or cause pain. People are in the mood right now. The causing of pain by trolls is unlimited. Somebody wrote me today and said, "Andy, are you dead?" I go, "No." And he said, well, his Google alert, he put up, there's a real easy way to follow me. You can put up a Google alert, Andy Lee Graham, and every time a link comes up anywhere on the internet, it'll show up in your Google alerts. Really easy, really smart. But pain is, he said, "Are you dead?" And I said, "No, it's probably those Reddit wankers." These guys, they're up in they're the people that are sitting up in their parents' bedrooms, wanking off all day. I mean, these guys on Reddit are unbelievably evil people. They love to cause pain. I think they're causing me pain. They're actually causing me how to learn how to deal with idiots, right? I wish to share the desire a person wants to... Okay. There's people that want to be punished, okay? And this is a self-sabotaging thing. So a lot of people, when they keep bringing up their excuses and all the reasons why they're a jerk, that's their state of being, and it's best just to erase them. Okay, please note, let's see if I can find that thing from Charles Murray before I go on. Okay. Have you ever had a job that caused a body part to hurt at the end of the day? Because my feeling is, if you can't answer yes to this question, you are in big trouble trying to understand the country you live in. Okay. The question, this is Charles Murray in this book called Coming Apart. And I watched, it was on the Hoover Institute, these Stanford, what's his name, Robinson or something. Really good interview with Charles Murray. But have you ever held a job that caused a body part to hurt at the end of the day? Because my feeling is, if you can't say yes to that question, you are in big trouble trying to understand the country you live in. Okay, there's a really big disconnect between the Harvard, Yale, whatever people, the Stanford people, and the elites of the country that are becoming lawyers. They don't even understand pain in the least, okay? They lived an entitled life, and they do it. One of his other questions is, have you ever stood on the floor of a factory? I used to remember when I was working I baled hay commercially, so for about 8 summers of my life, we baled 50 to 60 pound bales of hay all day long, every day. And but my back hurt the worst probably when I was working as a framer and in Indianapolis, and we did these apartment complexes, and I bent over all day long, pounding nails, putting together the frames of walls. Just absolute pain every day of the week. But pain is gain. So when you're getting muscles, you rip your muscles, and then they rebuild stronger. Okay, but a lot of people have never had any pain. I'll never forget these 2 Scottish guys. Really, there was like 8 nurses came into this Oaxaca, Mexico hostel. Oaxaca, Mexico is a place. And I was in this hostel called the Danish Hostel. It's actually where I met my friend Jeff. And he was reading a Clive Cussler book. And these 8 girls were in my dorm, my shared dorm room. And they were saying, oh, these Mexican guys said they love me. And these girls were so naive, it was ridiculous. And these 2 really very, I don't know, it's a problem with Ireland, England, and Britain. They like to do what they call taking the piss, and they were trying to wind them up. They were being rude. They were being very, very rude, and they were making fun of them by playing like they're listening, but they're really criticizing these people. They were winding them up. And the girls left, and I said, would you like to have a daughter? Would you, when you have children, would you like to have a daughter that never once was afraid, never once got some guy trying to attack her sexually, never had anybody like you 2 assholes getting near this woman? Would you like a set of girls? Would you like to have a girl that had such a great life that she didn't really suffer? I said, because these girls are now becoming doctors, and guess what? They're gonna, yes, you're right, they don't understand that these Mexican guys are just trying to shag them, right? And I said, because these Mexican guys will say, I love you. And women in America, I never forget when I was working in a factory when I was 18, a guy says, I don't use the words I love you. He says, I got laid too many times for saying it. Definitely, if you tell a girl, I love you, it just turns their brain, okay? Be real judicious with using these words. But in the Spanish world, if you don't say yo te quiero, that's like I like you. When you say I love you in Spanish, it means I like you. It doesn't mean I love you. I love you means giving me money, okay? For the most of the world, giving money is a proof of your love. But please note, it's my opinion that all pain is emotional. Okay, we can call it whatever we want. We can call it physical pain, but it's the emotions of how we're feeling that deal with it. I've had unbelievable. I made a video, I don't know, of all my traumas about 3 months ago, and I have a page. I went through my whole life full of traumas. Like, I am a very fortunate person, extremely fortunate, because why? I have suffered so many traumas that I can anticipate situations better than normal because I had so much practice, okay? But please notice, my opinion, all emotional. The reasons for pain of life are unlimited, with twice as many excuses on why they exist, tolerate, accept, and avoid it. When I listen to an excuse and somebody's like saying, oh yeah, but they had a tough life, and I go, why don't you just beat them side the head and say you're going to be miserable for the rest of your life? You don't really, especially if you're a boss, you don't listen to excuses. You listen to them, but you don't say much. Because the more excuses, like there's when I would hear excuses every single day from an employee, I would fire them. Just because I would have, like, I had one rule in my business. You arrive on time at work. If they didn't, I said, if you don't arrive on time at work, I fire you. And I said, the second rule was, if I think about you tonight while I'm at home watching a movie, you don't have a job in the morning. Why? Because that means I didn't really trust them. And it's a nebulous thing, but trust, when you trust an employee, you don't sit around thinking about them. But that doesn't mean they're a great employee. It just means that you trust them. But excuses are much more prevalent in today's society. We have these self-appointed victims. So pain is tolerated, and it's actually, the bigger your pains, the more you're considered a person of whatever. So you see this on Angelina Jolie or whatever, or all these different movie stars and actors. They go to Africa and they deal in the pain, and they adopt somebody, and they basically are really absolutely idiots. Okay, but my choice drug is, now that I don't drink, and I haven't drank for 37 years, my choice drug is butter pecan ice cream. Okay, so my comfort food when I'm having a lot of pain is butter pecan ice cream. And really, ever since I've been in the United States, I've been overfed, and the SAD American diet, SAD is an acronym. Standard American diet is killing me, okay? And this Pizza Hut, well, it's really a great thing because I can have a salad bar, and I can eat some broccoli, raw broccoli, some olives and peppers and different things, and have a pretty good end salad. But I load up too much on the cheese, and I like the eggs, but the unlimited part's killing me. Okay, but it's a very good value, and one meal a day is only $9.99, so hey, it's a great deal. But when I'm really depressed, I'm going to go buy butter pecan ice cream, and I'm going to get some avena. What's the word in English? Oatmeal. And I put it on there, and I mix it up, and that's my drug of choice. And trust me, food is a drug, okay? Sugar's an extreme addictive drug. Okay, but I'm having pain, and I'm sitting to the point, the one question the guy asked me the other day on my legs was, I had this walk-in clinic I went to, and he said, Carl asked me, he says, well, if you're avoiding walking and you're gaining weight and whatever. So I'm not actually in pain all the time when I'm sitting still, but I'm definitely not walking. I'm in one of the most beautiful parks possible, and I don't walk. And I'm sitting there going, this is ridiculous. But really what changed me the other day is I woke up in the middle of the night. I wanted to, go to the toilet or whatever. You got to say toilet for the Germans and the Europeans. They don't like the word restroom. They say, well, we're not going there to rest. Although I do take my cell phone and rest. But I had to walk through the thing. But I was standing up in the tent, and I was afraid I was going to fall against the side and rip the tent down. And I said, I'm stumbling, and my balance is bad, and I was completely dark, right? I was completely dark, and your proprioception, your knowledge of your bodily parts, where they're at, is more difficult when it's dark. And I just got up and I said, I'm going to go to the walk-in clinic like my sister was. And both of my inner knees are destroyed, okay? And but I high jumped, pole vaulted, I played American football, I did everything. I used to be able to do, lift 100, I don't know, universal weight machine. I could do the whole rack, right, with my legs. So that puts a lot of stress on your knees. The weight, the more weight on the knee, so the fatter you are, the more pressure this joint is when the synovial lubrication. It doesn't work when you're fat. So, and I've been walking every day for 20 years, and I don't know. But my drug of choice is better. But we live our lives in a bubble. We have different bubbles. Some of you have absolutely no desire to exercise or do anything difficult, and you believe that comfort is success in life. Comfort is the opposite of success. Discomfort is what makes us stronger. We really do, what doesn't kill us does make us stronger. I think Friedrich Nietzsche first came up with that. Probably everybody. But we live in our life in a bubble. And if you want to know how big a bubble you are, Charles Murray's got a test that they put into test in thing. Like I cranked off at like 80, and Charles Murray self-admitted he was like 45 or something, and the guy Robinson from the Hoover Institution came in at 65 because he works in some construction. But Charles Murray admits that he grew up in a no pain life. Okay, we live our lives in a bubble, but this bubble we live in, if you want to be president of the United States, you need to have some real suffering. You need to get the people that didn't go to the Harvard. You need to get construction workers and people that understand what's going on with life. These entitled people that they may be billionaires, it doesn't matter, but it doesn't mean that they can really understand what it's like to work in a factory and look at the clock all night knowing that you're bored out of your brain. I worked at metal spinners in Angola, Indiana, and they tried to make me, they were going to give me, I don't know, they were going to make me one of these executives in the office, and I said, no way, I'm going to university. And the guy said, I'm proud of you then. But, I was a foreman when I was age 18, and I had went from a job where you spin, you crank down this thing, and you look at the clock all day. And I asked this old guy, I said, what do you think about it? He says, I don't know. It really just takes the brain and makes it mush. And I would sit there, you'd crank the same machine. And these guys working in General Motors and all these factories and stuff, it's a hypnotic type situation where they shut off their brains and they no longer think, and they're no longer capable of thinking. And we're doing this, and between the medical industry and whatever, they're doing this. Okay, they are, I want to say conscripting us. You guys think I have trouble when I say words bad. I do have a speech impediment, and I do have a dyslexic problem, so I have a good excuse, but there's no way to fix it, okay? I get better with time. In this link that I'll put in there, you can take the test and see how entitled life you live. Because a lot of people that are really thinking that the United States people are idiots are the ones that don't realize that they're the idiot, okay? If you can't empathize with a person's situation and you can't understand physical pain, that's really kind of weird. The biggest pain that anybody has in life anymore is the divorce and the fact that they treat their children with they're abusing their children. That's the number one pain. And then you got everybody in the United States and Europe, South America, Central America getting so fat. Don't think this is just the United States. The whole world's blossoming, right? I don't know what to say. Anybody over 25, I was talking to one of my girlfriends in Africa, and I said, Edith, show me your butt. And she's like, what? She's 29, 30 years old, and the black genetics is horrible for getting fat, okay? And they also take pride in this. I mean, like when I was in Colombia, the girls were trying to get bigger butts, and I said, lose weight first, then gain your butt. Okay, but what is pain? It's a motivation to change. If you don't change, then you like the benefits of the pain. Most people are addicted to the sympathy. That's absolutely enabling, and I will give them sympathy and I will enable them because it's up to them to realize that they're a ding-a-ling. Okay, you will fit in very well with society if you complain about the weather, the boss, the spouse, whether male or female. Those are things that you can complain about. Men complain about women and women complain about men. We constantly do it. Everybody complains about their boss, and it's an epidemic. And I've always been self-employed, so there wasn't much use of complaining about the boss. But how do you medicate your pain? The avoidance of the topic of what your pain is. You stay busy. Stay busy has got to be the dumbest thing you can ever do to avoid, to deal with the emotional problem. Absolutely, it's avoidance. It has nothing to do with it. It's just delaying the problem. Drugs, alcohol, workaholics, gambling, food. I was laughing. I could go to this Alcoholics Anonymous get together, and they have a raffle. And I said, I wanted to sit there and say, so we're going to go for the sugar addiction plus the gambling addiction and ignore those, but go talk about being sober. The positive things are exercise, study, talking with intolerant people to your pain. there are people that will not sit around and listen to your painful conversation. These are the winners in life, okay? They'll listen, but they're not going to get involved, okay? Hanging out with the winners. That's how you stay positive. But there is intolerable pains. And physically, when you're avoiding walking because of the stress, the heat, the hot, the whatever, you have to address that you are seeking comfort above being smart, okay? Smart people getting control of their weight. Okay, the way you can control your weight is get off the Coca-Colas, the pop, sugar, carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the killer because everybody thinks that it's healthy to eat wheat bread, okay? All the wheats and all that stuff is horrible for you. You can have seeds and nuts, meats, and vegetables. The fruits are horrible, okay? But what am I going to say? Nobody's going to listen to me. But I'm living proof that you don't have to be obese. Some of my family is quite big. Okay, but pain. Pain is normal. Pain is a signal that you got some work to do. So when you have a pain and you start talking about it, the next thing you got to say, how can I resolve this issue? How can I remove this pain? How can I make it? Not avoiding, okay? Just because you have a lot of men refuse to get married again because they didn't deal well with their wife the first time, so therefore they become almost what's that one stupid organization, like Men Going Their Own Way. Giving up women completely is like a gay thing. You might as well be gay, okay? Because they're really not dealing with their issue, and they're not dealing with it as an adult. They're not dealing with it as a functional person. They're being highly dysfunctional, and they're just going to avoid women for the rest of their life. That is not a functional way to live. There are women that are good, okay, as there are men that are good. And the art here is you didn't get very good at negotiation. But I'm talking about pain today because I had pain that demanded that I make a change. But the twist off and the cascading problems or the things that were happening with that pain was I was avoiding walking, and I avoided the pain, therefore I didn't suffer any of the consequences, but I was suffering the consequences of not exercising and not being vibrant and living a good life. And I have many things that I avoid doing, and it's all subconscious. My subconscious is controlling me, protecting me from doing these things. And then I try to review what I do. I got this Olympics I'm going to put together. What the life you lived when you were, say, 25 is the things that you should be doing when you're 65, 85, 95. For your whole life, you should be doing the same kind of physical things as you did. There is not an excuse because you're older. That is an excuse for the losers. The losers are going to sit there. I'm not trying to be your friend. I'm trying to be your voice of reason. You want to be able to do all the things that you did when you were 25. I have a 60-pound backpack. I have 20 pounds in the front, 40 on the back, and I need to be able to walk with that to explore the world. If that scares you, stay home. I don't want people to travel the world. They are destroying the planet by their entitled, lazy, because people, there's nothing stupider than thinking because you have $10 million that you're intelligent, okay? That just means you had a job that made a lot of money and you happen to do all the right things to make money. That doesn't mean you're emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically capable of even traveling the world. It's ridiculous. Okay, but pain is what you gain with pain is the desire to change. And if you don't accept that pain is a signal to change, that you have to change something in your life, then you are, in a lot of ways, deserving of what happens to you, okay? Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people that absolutely deserve to get fat, ugly, whatever, because when they're like the wimp. I was watching Sheldon last night, and these four guys, Sheldon and Howard, and everybody was criticizing this one guy that was dating Penny, and they go, "You guys, Penny says, for a bunch of men that had gotten kind of abused by people for all your life. It's amazing that how much you're abusing this other guy. And they went and apologized because she was the voice of reason. But people want revenge and they want to go abuse the next person. So abused children go become abused parents, okay? So to break that cycle is really tough. But pain, what you gain with pain is, I'm trying to come up with the right quote. What you gain with pain is the desire to change. What you gain with pain is the desire to change. So I'm Andy Lee Graham. I've had unbelievable pain, and I truly believe that you should listen up, shut up, and grow up. Talking about your pains isn't a solution. There's no such thing as a solution. Yes, you talk about your pain 2 or 3 times so you recognize you have it, and then you better start talking about the solutions to it. If you continually talk about your pain or your ex-wife or whatever for the next 30 years, or your children, or you like to talk negative, and you are giving yourself an excuse on why you have a personal problem. It's an emotional problem. Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham. I'm here and you're not. Why not? Happy 4th of July. It is a celebration of an experiment called democracy, and I'm very grateful to be one of the lucky sperms to be born in the United States. But I don't live in the United States anymore, and it's just become too onerous because I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money to travel around the United States. I don't even have enough money to live here. Okay, but I'm having one of the best lives possible because I'm emotionally, mentally, physically stable. But I'm going to be much better. I have full coverage insurance covering everything on this thing. And people ask me, why do you have this? And you don't live in the United States. I said, for this type of situation. The biggest problem is trying the first 10 days out of this bilateral knee replacement is where do I stay where are the least amount of problems. It's really not capable of staying in a tent. I don't know. I'm going to have to really come to it. Maybe they'll put me in a physical therapy place for like 5 days. And then no pain, no gain. Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham. Change your life. What you gain with pain is the need to change. Andy Lee Graham. I'm here and you're not. Why not?